Every pilot, from the freshly minted private certificate holder to the seasoned ATP, understands the inherent risks of aviation. We meticulously pre-flight, diligently study weather, and constantly refine our skills. Yet, beneath the veneer of preparedness, a silent, insidious killer lurks within the very heart of our aircraft, the engine. This isn't a story about catastrophic mechanical failure from manufacturing defects, nor is it about the rare bird strike or the freak accident. This is about a pervasive, often misunderstood operational error, a deadly mistake, that is quietly but relentlessly destroying thousands of small aircraft engines this year, leading to an alarming surge in incidents and, tragically, fatalities. The data from 2025, showing a 7-year high in aviation fatalities with 548 deaths, a staggering 30% increase over 2024, paints a grim picture, and equipment failures, predominantly engine-related, remain a leading cause of these fatal general aviation accidents, even as other accident categories decline. This isn't just a statistic. It's a stark warning that something fundamental is being overlooked, a critical flaw in our understanding of how these complex machines operate under our command. For decades, pilots have been taught, often anecdotally, about the perils of shock cooling, the supposed damage inflicted upon an engine by a rapid power reduction, particularly during descent. The image of a cylinder head cracking under sudden thermal stress has been ingrained in the pilot's psyche, leading to cautious, often overly conservative, engine management practices. Yet, the uncomfortable truth, supported by extensive research from organizations like AVWeb and GAMI, is that shock cooling as a primary cause of engine failure is largely a myth. There is no hard evidence to suggest that a large, rapid power reduction in a horizontally opposed piston engine directly causes cylinder cracking. This revelation, while liberating for some, exposes a deeper, more dangerous reality. Our focus on a phantom menace has diverted attention from the real deadly mistake, a subtle yet destructive practice that is far more prevalent and far more damaging to our engines. The silent killer isn't the cold air in the descent, it's the invisible fire in your combustion chamber during that perfect cruise, a fire fueled by misunderstanding and perpetuated by outdated dogma. The true culprit, the deadly engine mistake, lies in the nuanced and often mishandled art of mixture control, specifically in the context of operating at or around peak exhaust gas temperature, EGT. Our traditional Lycoming and Continental engines, robust as they are, operate within precise thermal and mechanical envelopes. Deviating from these parameters, particularly through improper leaning techniques, is a slow, agonizing death sentence for cylinders, valves, and ultimately the entire engine. The average failure rate for these workhorse engines, around 13 failures per 100,000 flight hours, might seem low, but when thousands of small planes are flying countless hours annually, these seemingly small percentages translate into a significant number of destroyed engines and, as the 2025 fatality data tragically confirms, lives lost. This isn't a random occurrence. It's a predictable outcome of a widespread operational error. Consider the two primary manifestations of this deadly mistake. First, the failure to properly lean the mixture during cruise flight, especially at higher altitudes. Many pilots, out of habit, fear, or simply a lack of understanding, run their engines excessively rich. While a rich mixture provides a cooling effect and a margin of safety against detonation, an overly rich mixture, particularly for extended periods, is a recipe for disaster. It leads to excessive carbon buildup on spark plugs, valve faces, and piston crowns. This carbon acts as an insulator, trapping heat and creating hot spots, which can lead to pre-ignition, a far more destructive phenomenon than detonation. Furthermore, the unburnt fuel washes lubricating oil from the cylinder walls, accelerating wear on piston rings and cylinder liners. The engine, instead of operating efficiently and cleanly, is slowly suffocating itself, accumulating damage that will inevitably manifest as reduced performance, increased oil consumption, and, ultimately, catastrophic failure. While you were focused on the GPS, your cylinders were planning their escape, silently accumulating the damage that would lead to their demise. The second, and arguably more insidious manifestation of this mistake is the improper application of lean of peak (LOP) operations. LOP, when executed correctly with appropriate instrumentation, such as multi-probe EGT, CHT gauges and balanced fuel injectors like those from GAMI, is a highly efficient and engine-friendly way to operate. It involves running the engine with a fuel-air mixture that is leaner than the point of peak EGT, resulting in lower cylinder head temperatures, CHT, and improved fuel economy. However, the critical caveat is proper execution. Operating in the region between peak EGT and LOP, often referred to as the red box or danger zone, is where the deadly mistake truly manifests. In this region, the mixture is too lean to provide adequate cooling, but still rich enough to support maximum combustion temperatures. This leads to extreme thermal stress on cylinder heads, valves, and pistons, significantly increasing the risk of detonation and pre-ignition. Without precise instrumentation, many pilots inadvertently operate in this destructive zone, believing they are leaning correctly, when in fact they are slowly cooking their engines. The consequence is often a cracked cylinder head, a burnt valve, or even a thrown connecting rod, failures that are not only expensive but can be catastrophic in flight. The FAA's Part 23 certification process, while ensuring safety, has inadvertently contributed to this problem by making the adoption of modern engine management systems, such as FADEC, Full Authority Digital Engine Control, prohibitively expensive for general aviation aircraft. This forces pilots to rely on technology from the 1950s, where manual mixture control is the norm, and the margin for human error is dangerously wide. The human element in manual engine management is, tragically, the weakest link, and the accident data from 2025 unequivocally proves that we are paying for this with lives. Beyond the operational nuances of leaning, another significant contributor to this deadly mistake lies in post-maintenance errors. A significant percentage of engine failures occur shortly after major maintenance events or overhauls. This isn't necessarily a reflection of the engine's inherent reliability, but rather a testament to the critical importance of meticulous workmanship and adherence to manufacturer specifications. Incorrect torque settings, improperly installed components, overlooked lubrication restrictions, or even the introduction of foreign debris during assembly can all lead to premature engine failure. The complexity of these reciprocating engines, with their myriad moving parts and intricate systems, demands an almost surgical precision during maintenance. A single misplaced washer, an improperly routed hose, or an over-tightened bolt can set in motion a chain of events culminating in a catastrophic in-flight emergency. While the NTSB diligently investigates these incidents, often attributing them to maintenance error, the underlying cause is often a systemic issue within the maintenance ecosystem, pressures to reduce costs, lack of adequate training, or simply human fallibility under demanding conditions. The consequences, however, are borne by the pilot and passengers, often with fatal results. The subtle shift in a bearing, the minute restriction in a lubrication line, or the almost imperceptible crack in a component can transform a routine flight into a desperate struggle for survival. This is not a hypothetical scenario. It is a recurring theme in accident reports, a silent testament to the deadly consequences of even minor maintenance oversights. Furthermore, the allure of unapproved engine modifications, often marketed as performance enhancements or fuel-saving devices, presents another dangerous facet of this deadly mistake. While innovation is crucial, bypassing stringent certification process for critical aircraft components introduces unknown variables and often compromises the inherent safety margins designed into the engine. A recent case in 2026 involving a motor glider, where unapproved engine modifications led to an excessively lean fuel-air mixture and ultimately a fatal crash, serves as a grim reminder of these risks. The pursuit of marginal gains, whether in speed or economy, at the expense of certified engineering, is a gamble with the highest stakes. These modifications, often lacking rigorous testing and validation, can disrupt the delicate balance of the engine's operating parameters, leading to unforeseen thermal stresses, premature wear, and catastrophic failure. The temptation to tweak and optimize, a natural inclination for many mechanically minded pilots, must be tempered by an unwavering respect for the certified design and the safety protocols that underpin it. The engine, a marvel of engineering, is a system of finely tuned interdependencies. Altering one aspect without a comprehensive understanding of its cascading effects is an invitation to disaster. The broader context of this deadly mistake is rooted in a fundamental disconnect between the design philosophy of these legacy engines and the modern operational environment. These engines, largely designed in an era of abundant and inexpensive leaded aviation fuel, were robust but also forgiving of less precise management. The advent of unleaded fuels, the increasing cost of avgas, and the demand for greater efficiency have pushed pilots towards leaning practices that were not always envisioned or adequately supported by the original engine designs. The lack of widespread affordable FADEC systems in general aviation aircraft means that pilots are still performing complex, real-time thermodynamic calculations manually, often with rudimentary instrumentation. This cognitive load, combined with the inherent variability of atmospheric conditions and fuel quality, creates a fertile ground for error. The system, in essence, asks pilots to be highly skilled engine diagnosticians and managers, a role for which many are not adequately trained or equipped. The result is a continuous, low-level assault on engine components, manifesting as accelerated wear, reduced lifespan, and an elevated risk of in-flight failure. The cumulative effect of these seemingly minor operational deviations, repeated over hundreds of flight hours, is the slow but inevitable destruction of the engine. The consequences of this pervasive error are not merely financial, they are existential. When an engine fails in flight, especially in a single-engine aircraft, the pilot is immediately thrust into a high-stress, life-or-death situation. The margin for error shrinks to zero, and even the most proficient pilot can be overwhelmed by the sudden loss of power, the need to find an emergency landing site, and the sheer terror of the moment. The NTSB reports from 2024 and 2025 are replete with accounts of such incidents, many of which could have been avoided with a better understanding and application of engine management principles. These reports often highlight the pilot's struggle to maintain control, the frantic attempts to restart the engine, and the desperate search for a safe landing zone, all under immense pressure. The human factor, while often cited as a primary cause in accident reports, is frequently a symptom of a deeper systemic issue, a knowledge gap that leaves pilots ill-equipped to manage the complex thermal and mechanical demands of their engines. This gap is exacerbated by training curricula that often prioritize basic stick and rudder skills over advanced engine management, leaving pilots to learn critical operational nuances through trial and error, or worse, through catastrophic failure. The cost of this knowledge gap is measured not just in dollars, but in lives and in the erosion of trust in general aviation as a safe and reliable mode of transport. Consider the ripple effect of these engine failures. Beyond the immediate danger to life and limb, there is the profound psychological impact on pilots who survive such incidents, often grappling with trauma and a loss of confidence. For those who do not survive, families are left to mourn, and the aviation community loses valuable members. The economic burden extends to insurance companies, who, in turn, raise premiums for all pilots, further exacerbating the affordability crisis in general aviation. This creates a vicious cycle. Higher costs lead to fewer pilots, which in turn reduces the market for new aircraft and innovative technologies, perpetuating the reliance on older, less forgiving engine designs. The lack of investment in modern, more automated engine management systems for general aviation is a direct consequence of this cycle, as manufacturers are hesitant to invest in expensive R&D for a shrinking market. This stagnation ensures that the deadly engine mistake continues to claim victims year after year, a self-fulfilling prophecy of decline. The path forward demands a radical rethinking of how we approach engine management in general aviation. It begins with education, not just rote memorization of procedures, but a deep intuitive understanding of engine thermodynamics and the critical role of mixture control. Pilots need to be trained not just to fly the plane, but to truly manage the engine, understanding the subtle cues and the profound implications of every adjustment. This includes a comprehensive reevaluation of the shock cooling myth, replacing it with accurate, data-driven insights into the real mechanisms of engine wear and failure. Furthermore, the industry must push for the widespread adoption of affordable, advanced engine monitoring systems. These systems, far more sophisticated than traditional gauges, provide real-time data on EGT, CHT, fuel flow, and other critical parameters, allowing pilots to make informed decisions about mixture settings and engine health. They act as an invaluable co-pilot, providing the precise information needed to avoid the red box and operate the engine within its optimal, most forgiving parameters. Moreover, the regulatory environment needs to evolve to facilitate, rather than hinder, the integration of modern engine technologies. The current FAA Part 23 certification process, while well-intentioned, has become an impediment to progress, making it economically unfeasible for manufacturers to introduce FADEC systems and other advanced engine controls into the general aviation market. A streamlined, risk-based certification approach that prioritizes safety and innovation could unlock a new era of engine reliability and ease of operation. Imagine a future where engine management is largely automated, where FADEC systems optimize fuel-air mixture for every phase of flight, minimizing pilot workload and virtually eliminating the deadly engine mistake. This is not a futuristic fantasy. The technology exists today in other sectors of aviation. The challenge lies in overcoming the bureaucratic inertia and economic barriers that prevent its widespread adoption in general aviation. The community, from pilots and mechanics to manufacturers and regulators, must unite to advocate for these changes, recognizing that the long-term health and safety of general aviation depend on it. The stakes are too high to continue down the current path, where a preventable error continues to destroy thousands of small planes and, tragically, claim lives. The time for a fundamental shift in our approach to engine management is not tomorrow, but now.